Okay, thanks so much everyone for coming today. It's good to see people's faces and names. We may have some other folks rolling in because we had quite a few people registered for the call. Thanks so much for coming. My name is Heather Thoma, and I work with the Ontario chapter of the Coalition for Healthy School Food. And I'm here hosting this webinar today, co-hosting with Ken Behair, who also works with the Coalition for Healthy School Food, and Gary Hoyer from George Brown Polytechnic. And this session is part of a series about exemplary school food programs from around the world. And we really appreciate having Ernestine and Manuela from Germany with us today. And before we get started, just want to note that this session is being recorded so that it can be shared out afterwards with those who weren't able to be here. And we would love to know where you're coming from. If you want to introduce yourself in the chat. I am located on Anishinaabe territory east of Toronto in the eastern part of Canada, and really happy to be joining today on Zoom with folks, I think, coming from all different parts of the world. So it's really wonderful to have everyone here. And if you have questions throughout the session today, feel free to put them into the chat and we'll be answering them at the end of the presentation. And also, if you need technical support at all, please put that in the chat as well. I'm going to hand it over to Gary now to introduce our speakers.
Okay, great. Thank you, Heather. And good morning, everybody. And saying thank you for joining us this morning. Today we're going to be talking about the wonderful school food program in Berlin as part of our series, as Heather mentioned. Our speakers today are Dr. Ernestine Tecklenburg and Manuela Sorg. And welcome to them. And thank you for joining us and taking the time to present. And we'll have a question and answer session at the end. Dr. Tecklenburg works as a research associate and lecturer at the University of Applied Sciences in Hamburg, and as a research associate at the Leibniz Institute for Prevention Research and Epidemiology in the Department of Prevention and Evaluation. She is the head of the Department for Communal Catering, and as a matter of fact, just did a student lunch today with a big menu. And so communal catering and quality assurance at the German Nutrition Society, and obtained a PhD in vocational education at the Leuphana University of Lüneburg. Her research interests include health promoting and sustainable quality standards in community catering, promoting fair food environments and their impact. And Manuela Sorg has been head of the nonprofit organization Vernetzungsstelle Kita, I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, and the Berlin Coordination Center for Daycare and School Catering since 2023. The organization has been committed to promoting healthy and sustainable meals in daycare centers and schools for more than 20 years. Before that, Manuela worked for almost 15 years in the field of daycare and school catering in Saxony State, and she holds a Master of Science degree in Nutritional Sciences with a specialization in home economics from Justus Liebig University, Gießen, and also studied teacher training for vocational schools. Her work focuses on strengthening the link between school meal provision and nutrition education in all-day educational settings. So I think that, Manuela, you're going to start the presentations, and then we'll be switching back and forth with between you and Ernestine. So thank you very much.
That's right. So good morning, everybody. What can I say? It's a pleasure to be here with you to join this collation and to chair the evolution of the school food program in Berlin. As you will notice, my English is not the best, so I will look at my script a little bit more today so that you can understand me. Yeah, thank you also, Gary, for your introducing and let's start with the presentation. So, maybe, yeah, thank you. Ernestine will skip the slides and I will start and then we will change during the presentation. Yeah, before we take a closer look at the origins and the current situation of the Berlin School Food Program, I would like to summarize its key specialties on this slide. What makes Berlin so special compared to other German cities? You see, first we have free lunches, school lunches in elementary schools, in every or in all elementary schools in Berlin. The state of Berlin pays a fixed price per portion for the production and distribution of the food. So for parents, school food in elementary school has been completely free since 2019. Right now, the price for one meal is about $4, $4, four euros and 64. Yeah, and it's included the value-added tax. So to choose a caterer company, we use a model tender. This is a European-wide process in Berlin. And we also, as it's said already, we use the DGE quality standard. So all meals are based obligatorily. That's important, and in other German city, it's not like this. So in Berlin, the standard is obligatory for all meals in elementary schools. Yeah. And another special feature is the quality control unit. They make sure that our standards are actually followed. Participation is also very important in Berlin. By the school law, every school that offers lunch must set up a school lunches committee. This committee checks the quality internally and includes students, parents, and teachers. For us, the coordination center, this aspect is extremely important because we want everybody to understand the school catering as a part of nutrition and consumer education. So, skip. On the next chart, we see the target audience of the school nutrition program in Berlin. You see, the program is only for the elementary schools, not for the secondary schools, unfortunately. So all these specialties I told you. Just for elementary schools and not for the secondary schools. Yeah. So, but we still reach 150 students in 380 elementary schools from the 1st to the 6th grade. Yeah. So you may know in Berlin, all elementary schools are all-day schools, yeah, and so they offer a school meal. And as you can see on this chart, the large majority of schools, almost 60%, the green area are medium size with 400 to 600 students, and there are only very few schools that have more than 800. Yeah, thank you, Ernestine, with the dot. 800 students or fewer than 200 students. Yeah. And another point is not standing on the chart is that all the most of the schools are state schools. They are run by the school authorities. So we just have a few private schools in Berlin. And this is important because the school authorities run the tendering procedure for the school meals. We will tell you something about that later. So on the next slide, thank you. I want to focus on the reasons for the Berlin program to start to change the school meals. Just three. Maybe there are a lot more reasons, but these three are the triggers. Yeah. So first of all, there was a great dissatisfaction with the options in Berlin elementary schools. And especially parents wanted to change this. The second reason is improving school attendance and concentrations. We want to create a clear understanding that school meals are a part of the educational program and of all-day school system. Yeah, and the third reason is not less important is the promotion of health and healthy eating habits, of course. So yeah. Skip the next. Thank you. So on this timeline, we have summarized the history and the key milestones of the school meal program in Berlin. We will return to this timeline during the presentation a few times. So I will start in the beginning. There was a parent initiative in the district Pankow. In Berlin, we've got 12 districts. And in Pankow, the parents were dissatisfied with how school food was organized in Berlin and wanted to improve school meals at elementary schools. They demanded uniform quality standards for tendering and awarding school catering contracts in Berlin's all-day schools. But the most important thing, they wanted schools, students, and parents to have a voice in choosing food providers. Yeah, and as you might already guess, this parent initiative later became the Berlin Coordination Center for Daycare and School Catering in 2006. Yeah, thank you. And before, in 2003, the initiators successfully brought the Senate Department for Education, Youth and Family on board, together with the health insurance provider. You might not know the AOK Berlin. They developed the Berlin quality criteria. These requirements for school catering soon gained nationwide attention. In fact, in 2007, the German Nutrition Society, where Ernestine worked, published the very first nationwide quality standards for school catering on behalf of the Federal Administration of Food and Agriculture. Yeah, and the work of our association was so successful before my time there that it became a model for the entire country. In 2008, the Federal Ministry of Food and Agriculture, together with all German federal states, there are 16 states, they began establishing coordination centers for school catering. So in each state, there's a coordination center like in Berlin. You called Vernetzungsstellen Schulverpflegung, Gary. Yeah, the work of our association became a model for the entire country in 2008. Okay, I told you already. So in 2008. And so I want to tell you something about our Berlin Association on just one chart so that you can see how yeah, the people worked in our association on this photo. Just a few people and you can see the lady with the trendy and the only guy. They are the founders of the association and they are still on our board today. And we all are also very proud to have an excellent scientific advisory board, which is not on the picture. It includes well-known experts in the field of school catering, such as the renowned Professor Arns Acevedo, you maybe know, and my respected colleague, Dr. Ernestine Tecklenburg. Yeah. Um, as stated in our articles of incorporation, I read it, the association's mission is to promote high quality, health promoting communal meals for children and adolescents, as well as nutrition and consumer education based on the foundation in daycare centers and schools. And to achieve this, we advise and support decision makers in government and administration, as well as in schools and daycare centers, on these issues through various funding projects. One of these projects I will maybe present you later. So. And let's take a look at the other stakeholders in Berlin school catering sector. The red areas show the actors from politics and administration. These are the Berlin State Parliament, which decides, for example, about the free school meals, and the Senate Department for Education, Youth and Family. Which is our main funder of our Berlin Coordination Center. And we have the district authorities. And as I told you, the district authorities, authorities are responsible for the tendering and the awarding of the contracts. And the Senate supports this process because all districts must use the same model tender, as I told you on the start slide. And as the coordination center, we give expert advice to the districts and the Senate. For example, we advise the school authorities and the Senate department on the current revision of the master tender documents. So these will then regulate school meals from 2028 to 2032 for 4 years. And we also work, of course, work together with the quality control unit, and of course the schools are another very important actor, especially with their lunch committees. Here you can see the lunch committee, who's in it, the teacher, the parents, and so on. Actually, there are even binding participation options. For example, the caterer must ask the students about their satisfaction every 6 months, or offer a favorite meal 4 times a year. This is a very good thing, we think, a chance for participation. And one challenge is the participation of schools when choosing a caterer. It is very difficult to make this match with procurement law, because legally the schools are not contracting partners. The contract is between the school authority and the provider, the caterer. So in 2016, the quality control unit is established. On the next slide, we will see what its main tasks are. So first, the quality control unit makes sure that all school meals follow the contract rules. This means they look closely at the nutritional standards and follow the official DGE quality standards. And second, their team regularly tests the food. They check how it tastes and smells. After that, they give tips how to make it better. And they also got new tasks. For example, in 2020, since 2020, they check if the meals really have the organic parts that were promised in the contract. And starting in 2024, they also check the new vegetarian menu. This is now a new and important rule for winning a school contract, yeah, for the caterer. So yeah, and I think now Ernestina will go on and will take a closer look at the origins of a school food program so far.
Thank you, Manuela. And now I'm going to have the closer look at the developments and how they came. And I start here with the second part of the timeline. And in 2012, it was, you already heard, the coordination office has been working since 2008, but there was still dissatisfaction about the school meals, the school lunches in the schools. So in 2011, the Senate Department of Education, Youth and Families commissioned a study with the aim of gaining an overview of the cost structure in Berlin school catering, and also they wanted to obtain recommendations on how to improve and monitor the quality of the school catering in Berlin. Shortly after this study or this report was submitted to the Senate Department in September 2012, there was a norovirus outbreak in Berlin schools linked to the school catering due to unheated strawberries served as a dessert. And this incident brought quality of school meals into political spotlight, and measures to improve school meals were adopted as part of the Act on Improving Quality of School Lunches, as you can see here. The Act included that there was an introduction of fixed price per meal instead of pure price competition. And as Manuela already mentioned, there was the development of a standard template for the tenders for all Berlin districts. And they also decided on the establishment of the school meals quality control unit in Berlin in 2016. This all was with the focus on to solve the central problem. Competition should not be based solely on the cheapest meal anymore. They wanted to have a really nutrition and quality meal for the students in elementary school. After you see here in 2014 and 2016, everything was in place. There was still a discussion, but now it doesn't focus so much on the quality, but it shifted the focus more towards the price. So here you see the initial situation was that the parents still had to pay for lunches themselves, a part of the costs that occur for the school lunches. That's around one third of the costs was still put on the shoulders of the parents, but it showed that it was still too much, because Berlin has a lot of families which came from more a deprived background, with the risk of being poor. So they also saw then, when they analyzed the situation, that many eligible families did not take advantage of the assistance. assistance through the education and participation package. That's from the federal state package, which should help the poor families to send their children in the school, and that they could have school lunches in school, but they didn't use it. So, and these children from the deprived backgrounds were without the use of subsidies were often excluded from the meals, and so the social difference became visible in the cafeteria, and there was a lot of stigmatization. And that's so the political discussion came it comes more into the focus of the political discussion, and they said you can't learn on an empty stomach, and so it was common sense and an initiative from a larger part of the politics. Yeah, I pointed out red, green. That was the coalition then in the Senate. They decided that education should be free of charge wherever possible, and that should also include the school lunches when it's already have been the learning materials and the public transportation passes. So that the school lunches should be not something extra in the school structure and on the day structure in schools like it's or still used to be in a lot of parts in Germany, but that it should be a part of the school life in Berlin, primary schools. So that's why that should be accessible to all children free of charge. So here we wrote down 4 key reasons which are now discussed when you ask the politics or people near Berlin what were the key reasons to establish school meals free of charge in the elementary schools in Berlin. So it was to reduce social inequality and prevent child poverty and food insecurity, to cut red tape and move away from a complicated subsidy system, to improve education. So the nutrition as a factor in academic success, like we see in studies, and this idea from a tuition-free education for all. But it's when you ask other people who were involved in this process, they say it was more like an oops that it happened, because it was an incident that it was the right time and the right situation to get it past the Senate in Berlin. So with that, I close the development focus, and I want to show you more about the development and the model tender. Manuela already mentioned that there's still a revision of the model tender, and now it's in progress for 2028. And that's development is under the leadership of the Senate department, and in cooperation with the district school boards, the state parents committee, the school meal coalition, quality control unit, and the Berlin school meal network unit. And also the catering companies are being consulted, but they are not really put in the groups which is working on the model tender, because they are the one who are getting paid for what's put in the model tender. And now get to the what's in the focus of the model tender, there were some changes focusing on more nutritious and sustainable school meals, like that rice, bananas, and pineapples must be fair trade. They also focus on the organic content of food groups. Like you can see, it's grain products, potatoes, fruit, and cheese that must be 100% organic, and that this also must be clearly indicated on the menu. And they also update on the current DGE quality standards each time. For example, the last update was in 2020 of the DGE quality standards, and the next one is planned for, I think, 27, 28. So it will be hard that they already focus on the new update of the current DGE quality standard, but I think they will still try to do so. And the last time there were also a transition from the delivery node model to the digital digital model. And also they tried to get the voice of the students of the schools be a higher or be more important. So student participation and satisfaction survey was also put in place as a part of the model tender in 2024. And now we will change again towards Manuela. So.
That goes fast. So let's have a look. Where do the students eat meals? So in most of the elementary schools in Berlin, we have a cafeteria, or they have an own dining room where the lunch is served. The children go there by class or in groups at set times. Younger children are often accompanied by school staff, while older children go on their own. So the elementary school is from the first to the sixth class. If schools do not have their own cafeteria, or if they simply lack sufficient space, meals are also organized in multi-purpose rooms or in after-school care rooms. So that's about the schools. And now let's have a look about the food production models in Berlin elementary schools. For the vast majority, we use contracted catering and a delivery system. In 60% of the schools, hot meals are delivered directly to the site. In about 33% of the schools, the meals are delivered frozen or refrigerated and then reheated in the school kitchen. And finally, only a small part, about 7% of the schools, have their own on-site kitchen where the catering companies prepare the meals fresh every day. And the next slide shows this chart of the food provider size. As you can see, the largest part, the yellow, thank you, yeah, the yellow one, about 56% of the caterers supply up to 5 schools each. So there are more smaller caterers or just deliver 5 schools. On the other side, a small group of about 10% of the caterers supply more than 50 schools each. Yeah, so that's a lot. So, yeah, Ernestina, we switch again.
And yeah, and here you see that it's really market, the school catering market in Berlin. So the Senate tries to have that, keep that in mind, and tries not to push it into the hand of one caterer, for example, when designing the model tender. And I would like to have another deeper look into the food procurement policy, as it was also quite of an interest to you. We talked a lot about the implementation of the DGE quality standard already, and I also mentioned the part with the fair trade or the organic food groups. But there's also the focus on seasonality, which should be considered when planning meals, and the part that, for example, flavor enhancers, artificial colors, flavorings, and sweeteners, as well as processed meat and genetically modified foods are prohibited. And there's also a focus on less processed foods. So when the caterer has a lot of high processed foods, the quality control unit would get to them and say you might change your school the offering or what you offer. And here's another view on the DG quality standard for school meals. We put here in links. So there's also an English version of the DG quality standard if you like to have a look. It's been the basis of the Berlin's public procurement tenders since 2014. So that there is a focus on nutritious and also sustainable meals, which come by the way the criteria in the quality standards are created. But as we are also talking or having an interest from the scientific point of view, I tried to get some data, how participation at mealtime developed in the Berlin elementary schools. And as you can see, in June 2022, there were 88 or clearly 89% of the elementary school students participating in the school lunch program, but that was the delivery slip system, where we know that meals are often delivered and billed in fixed quantities, regardless of how many children actually ate them. And there were a lot of reports about food waste. That's also because one reason why they changed the system, and they put a digital ordering system in. And you see here that the participation level, from what we know, dropped to around 75%, and that might be the effect because the catering companies couldn't still keep building lunches or meals which aren't eaten and which aren't already taken, because we also check if the ordered portions are also eaten by the kids. And that was not in all time the case. You know it from your school. Sometimes the children just see what's offered and maybe they took it, or they just decide, oh no, I don't even take it, or they take it and put it in the bin afterwards without even tasting it. We still have that problem in Berlin, but that's we try to reduce the food waste. So that's why the digital ordering system comes, and it's proposed to have possible positive effects, that there's an increased efficiency through the digital ordering system and a change in ordering behavior and the adaptation to the digital ordering system, also combined by this part I was already mentioned, that catering companies have to check on this students' satisfaction, but we still does, and yeah, we hope that there will be a resource optimization at the end. And now I give back to Manuela again, because we also want to have a small input on the food literacy part.
You don't have to read this slide. I will give you just a few explanation what is about. To improve the acceptance of the school meals, we must also train our teachers and the educational staff. They have a vital role as role models in elementary schools, just as in the daycare institutions. And right now the lunch break is often just a time for supervision. And with our new funding project running until 2029, we want to change this. We want to train the school staff to turn the lunch break into a quality learning and living space. As adults with a trained eye, they can observe the situation in the cafeteria. They can report any issues to the school management and the school lunch committee, to improve the atmosphere for our children. So the details and facts about the project are written on this slide, and there's a second slide, but I would like to skip this. We hand out you the presentation so you can read it, and I can also give you maybe a link to our website if you want in the chat after, and so you can also read more details about what we are doing and our other projects. But this is the project we give our heart into it, because I think it's very important to do something with a pedagogical guidance at lunchtime.
So now we come to an end with our presentations, and I want to have small conclusions. We have seen that Berlin School Meal Program has been shaped politically by the following three guiding principles. Good food is part of the education. They focus on the quality standard and the nutrition policy and sustainability. They want to have an access for all, so full school meals for all elementary school students, as a social policy, and a competition on quality rather than price. But still, there's some tension stemming from the high quality standards which are put into place in Berlin. Low prices, because as a detail, every 4 years there will be a fixed price, but there's you all know with the situation globally, there has been an increase in, for example, the food prices and coming to an inflation in all parts of the life. So also people are getting paid more and everything costs more. And so it's even 4 years with a fixed price is hard for the catering companies to go with. And there's also still a complex organizational structure with having a model tender, giving to the catering companies and having a control unit in place to check on this situation. So still we come to a good point in Berlin with the situation of having free school lunches. That's because a lot of people, a lot of experts were engaged and engaged political decision makers and maintaining context a long time till 2002. And there's also the need to engage scientific support if needed, if you want to know about the impact, which we don't know in Berlin exactly because it was a political decision not to engage scientific support in so far. I try to do my best to change that. And but still maintain the dialogue. We have to maintain the dialogue with all the stakeholders and involve all the stakeholders, enable the schools, and it remains still difficult from our point of view to achieve a genuine competition on quality when catering companies are contracted on a fixed price basis because they see the price and they want to have profit. Generate profit. So thank you very much for your attention, and we are really happy to answer your questions now after the presentation.
That's great. Thank you both. Thank you, Manuela and Ernestine. Those were wonderful presentations and very informative. Great program. There's quite a lot of students. It's a big city and kind of mirrors Toronto too, I think, in terms of population. Yeah, and there was several questions that were pre-submitted before we started, and I think you addressed most of those already. One was on food literacy, and one was on local procurement, and one was on evaluation. So yeah, so some evaluation's done, but there's some issues, and hopefully you'll get a little bit more good scientific evaluation, kind of evidence-based evaluation. Waste is a big problem everywhere, and you've addressed that to a certain extent, but and every program has issues. But I think we've got most of these things covered. In terms of I think there was only 3 questions that were asked. Would anyone like to pose a question from our participants? Yes, Genevieve.
Thanks very much. Excellent presentation. I was just typing in the chat my question, but I'm just curious to know, I know you mentioned stigmatization and some of those experiences as some of the impetus for the program. I'm just curious to know how students and how youth are being engaged kind of in an ongoing way to gather their feedback and experiences and what that looks like for you.
Thank you for your question. The students are engaged, as Manuela said, they can engage themselves in the lunch committee, but they are also in the model tender that the catering companies should ask the students, I think every 1 or 2 months about their satisfaction, how they view their point of view of the school meals are, and that they should use this feedback to improve their offering, but it still doesn't really work out properly. We are working on that. I have a bachelor student in working on this still. So we are still in progress to get that into a better feedback loop, because it's hard to get the feedback back and see that also the students have to see that it's their voice matter. And now they don't see it, so it's declining that they are giving good feedback.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks.
Maybe just a follow-up to that. Is it online surveys that the students are filling out, or how do the caterers engage with the students?
Yeah, most of the times there are online surveys which the students can do in their free time. Sometimes even the parents take that with the students, which is maybe not the point of view of the students only. That's also a problem we face with this kind of measure we put in place. And there's also the possibility that they give it there in the cafeterias in place, but there's only the more or less the small catering companies which do this way of feedback, which I think is closer to the students, and so they are getting more feedback back from the companies as well. Manuela, do you like to add something?
Yeah, maybe just one thing more. The schools are very different how they use this participation tools. I think it's very positive. We got these tools, and like this satisfaction survey, but it all depends to the people at the school, the teachers, and so I think there are great differences between the schools in Berlin, how they use their chances to participate with students and make something good. Yeah, with these chances. And Saxony, where I worked before, these options were not given. So I think it's a pity not to use these chances. But we have also some structure problems in Berlin and in Germany. So there are not enough teachers in schools. The lessons sometimes are not stattfinden, weiß ich nicht, Christine, wenn die ausfallen.
The schools end earlier because there aren't teachers there to give the lessons. So sometimes even that's the reason why the students aren't there for the school lunches anymore. That's also a big problem.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, and because we got this question before about the food literacy, we of course we have also a curriculum about nutrition from first to the sixth grade. As you might know, things about the origin of food and about the maybe do you know the food pyramid, the proportion of the foods, yeah, and so things like that, and later some biological functions about nutritional components, sugar, fat, and protein, and yeah, this is also the stuff from the lessons, no? But we want to connect these things, what's in the lesson and what's in in the Mensa. Is it? Do you know the word
What?
Mensa? Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Carol has a question there. Do students have a choice at mealtime, and are there more options for them? And you could probably add in that, are there provisions for special diets?
Wow.
There's the system that the catering companies offer the schools 3 menu lines. And from these 3 menu lines, 2 are chosen by the schools. So the students can choose between 2 lines, 2 meal offerings, um, at the, a day. And they also have the options to have raw vegetables or raw fruits they can take from a buffet. So there's the possibility to just eat that, even if it's less nutrition or has a less energy intake than the real meal, but you still can stick to this option. There is this possibility that also students with allergies of food allergies, or when they can't eat, for example, milk products, can have an offering, but they have to bring a test from the doctor which states their allergy or that they can't eat a special type of food. And then the catering company should offer them a good dish, but some allergies or stuff couldn't be offered. Sometimes there's a big problem to do so. If there's a child with a lot of
So it's
problems.
not in the tenders that they have to cater to special diets for allergies or celiacs or religious issues.
Religious
it's a lot of work.
is in the tender, and also some typical allergies like gluten. When you can't eat the parts of the grain. I forgot the English word. Sorry for that.
Celiacs. Yeah.
And for celiac disease, like thank you. For example, or milk intolerances, they should offer it, but not on more special diet.
Are meats halal, or is that not part of the tender?
The meat is from, there's no pork meat on the menu. So it's meat that people who are eating halal can eat, but it's, with this meat, it's also the question of how religions is the background of this student family. So some families which eat halal eat that food, eat meat at school, and the others skip to the vegetarian option, which is also offered in the schools.
Can students opt out of the program, or can they go home or bring their own lunch?
They can opt out of the program, and there's also a possibility to bring their own lunch. Yes. And there's sometimes this situation because in Germany, it's getting more and more typical that they eat lunches or a hot meal together in the family in the evening. We are changing the structure from the warm meal at lunch more to warm meal in the evenings in the families.
So
Yeah, and in addition to that, we have a lot of kids who do the Ramadan. Actually, in Berlin, this is a big thing, and they don't eat at this time, and this big discussion, yeah, because it's not healthy for the young people not to drink and do sports, and this is a discussion, and yeah, we will see where we get there.
and are there any extra snacks or anything served during the day in the elementary schools?
No, it's only
Just
free
lunch, right?
lunches.
Okay. Yeah, and and I have more questions. I don't know about everyone else, but in terms of the funding, does the does the city, districts, or federal government? I imagine the federal government does, but who pays for what? And things like infrastructure, who pays for that, and what different levels of government are involved? The Berlin State program.
The Berlin state pays. Wait, I have here 800 million euros. I looked at this before for 4 years, just for the elementary school lunches. So it's a lot of money. So maybe the reason why we don't evaluate because it costs a lot of money, and then they pay a project, of our coordination center, but it's not a lot of money, just a little bit. I don't want to say, but yeah, and the personal staff in the state in the how do you call it? The administration. So they have to pay for their work also. Yeah.
Yeah, they pay
It's
for the teachers as well too.
so
Do
yeah.
And the
do the
teachers, yes.
districts pay for infrastructure? Because even
Yeah,
if you're
the
just reheating
districts.
meals, yeah, you would need
Yeah,
infrastructure. So the
yeah. The
districts would pay.
districts are the ones who are paying for the infrastructure, and they are also also having the contract with the
Yeah.
catering companies. So it's yeah, that's money from the federal state, but put it to the hands of the district and pinpoint downstairs. But it's also a big point. I don't know if you get it out of the slides that there is a problem with the infrastructure. They pay a lot for nutritionists and quality meals, but there's not so much money left to invest into the infrastructure, into the space where the students eat, or into the kitchens. Like, for example, in Hamburg, they they focus more on the investment in the infrastructure, in the schools, that they have buffets more and more, not two menus that are fixed where you can't choose between the components. So that the students are more engaged on this kind of way, for example.
Yeah, for sure. I would imagine the federal government sends some money to the states. Hamburg has free meals for elementary students too, do they?
No, they don't have free meals for elementary school children, but they have social. I have to look on my notes. I have a look on my notes. a price scale depending on the parents' income in Hamburg. So they have a fixed price with the catering companies, €4.60 as well. And it depends on the background of the families, how much they have to pay, from 0 to €5 maximum in
Do they have a
elementary
problem
school.
with stigma for students with
In
that kind of
Hamburg,
means-based? Yes.
Not with this system in place for some time now, not so much.
Not so bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's still also this problem that the zero is still from the federal state, and there you have to you have to fill in a form every school year, and that's a high barrier for a lot of
Yeah.
families, and that's a big problem still
Yeah.
here in
Yeah.
Hamburg as well.
Yeah, it's always a big problem, the complexity of the applications, especially for newcomers and immigrants and German as a second or third language. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The
So
US went through that too, or goes through that still.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
interesting. I've seen some programs where even though they have a means-based system, they make it mandatory that everyone has the same meal. So that kind of helps avoid stigma. So that's I thought was a good idea. In terms of the food education project that's going on until 2029, you're training the teachers. And what do the teachers now join the kids for lunch, and what do they currently do, and what is the project going to have them do as it goes along in terms of educating the kids during lunch, or joining them?
I think it's very different from school to school. I have to say it
Mhm.
again, how they do it.
Yeah.
Some schools have a school program which already includes this pedagogical guidance. But the role of a teacher is defined as supervisor during lunchtime,
Yeah.
and so that's not enough from our perspective. There should be more. Yeah, as I say, have a view of the situation, and to have some knowledge how does the learning of nutrition works. Informally, I don't know if you say this also, is informally learning, not learning in lessons, but learning during the day. And this is also very important part of learning, especially in all-day schools. That's why we want to offer this with this project training for the teachers. Yes, to give them support and to do a better rule during the lunchtime.
and to add, just in some schools there are the teacher eating with the students, but there's also pedagogical staff, extra staff, just supervising the lunch breaks. Also in some schools working.
Yeah. I think that's important for the actual caterers to get involved with the kids and show they actually care a bit. Do some schools?
Sorry, Gary, do you mind if I chime in?
No, of course. I've been waiting for somebody to chime in.
Sorry, I've had my hand up for quite some time.
I'm
but
sorry, I
maybe you
did
cannot
not see that. It's my fault. Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
okay. It's all been good discussion.
Go
Thank you
ahead.
so much. So vielen Dank. I really appreciate your presentation. I'm a logistics person, so I like to hear all of the nitty gritty about how programs are run, and I especially like to hear the challenges that you've been encountering
anybody who is implementing a program at the divisional level understands the complexity of the challenges and getting all parties on board. So I also am very excited about your research project that's involving school staff. I think that they have the capacity to really support a program, or potentially the opposite, and make implementation quite difficult. So I appreciate that. And I hope we have some research happening here in Winnipeg around that soon. I have two questions for you. The first one, it's okay if you cannot tell me, but I am curious if you can disclose what is your average cost per portion for lunch, whether this includes the labor time or if you just know your food cost, or if you can't disclose it, I understand.
There's a fixed price, as I already mentioned. It's for a €5.16, which is given to the companies, including tax, like Manuela said. That's the price which includes the cost of the food and the cost of the labor from the catering company, and also some money for all the investment and, for example, the water, the energy the catering company uses. But it doesn't include the cost for example, for the infrastructure at the school, or the cost for the pedagogical staff or the teachers who are there in the school at the breaks, at the lunch breaks. So
Okay.
that's how it's calculated.
Maybe
Okay.
just
So I hope that
one
helps.
addition. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add we have a change of the value added tax in Germany from 19 to 7%. So I told you another price before as Ernestine, but it's because of that. So it's a little bit less now because of the tax. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the €5.16 has the 90%
Yeah.
tax in it, and the other price, Manuela said, it's just 7% tax, because there was a change and both varieties are calculated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that so into my second question, I think you had somewhat mentioned that there is involvement during the lunchtime with teacher staff for supervision of the students. I'm wondering whether there are any dedicated staff members at the school that are responsible for safely handling any leftovers. Do they require any kind of food safety training to make sure things are kept at temperature? Have you had any requests from schools to say have time paid to a staff member that's responsible, or have you not experienced any sort of feedback from school staff saying, this is not part of my job, I should be paid or compensated for this, or we should have a dedicated person? How has that gone for you?
Maybe first, this task you mentioned, most of these tasks are fulfilled by staff from the catering companies, not by the teachers themselves, because the teacher or the pedagogical staff only have the task to be there with the kids, to sit and eat with them. And yeah. And the other tasks you mentioned are all fulfilled by the catering companies, not the schools.
they
Maybe that's
stay
also
okay.
Yeah,
So they
and
stay through the
very.
lunch hour?
Sorry, can you
So
repeat that?
So the catering staff will stay throughout the lunch hour and they take care of the additional food. Okay.
Yeah, they are taking care. And so it's also the case with the food waste. The catering companies see the food waste, how much it is, but not the districts, for example, because the catering companies are also paying for the food waste to
Yeah.
get that away from the schools.
I have just one addition. The school lunches committee. I told you of these committees in schools, and they can actually also control the food. So if something is not like it should be, like the temperature, and this is happens often, the committee can give this information to the district authority, and they of course can contact the caterer and no? So yeah, and give some sanctions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
the
can
English
complain
words.
and give some
Okay.
Yeah.
quotation.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Yeah, there's also the question in the chat. I think Heather, you wanted to say so. Is it correct? How dishware and category is handled, and this is also a task which is fulfilled by the catering companies. So a lot is sourced out to them around school lunches.
It's not disposable. They don't use disposable.
No, they don't
No.
use disposable.
And
They
they do all the work at the school so that the district doesn't employ anyone to actually reheat or serve meals or clean up
no,
after? So
they
it's all the catering
yeah.
company. Okay, great.
So
So
the
they actually
catering
have people on
company
site.
in
You know?
all the process through to the washing
Yeah,
or the cleaning up in the cafeterias
yeah, great, great.
Can,
and the
can I
kitchens.
can I ask another question about the meals? You spoke about the tenders, that it's
Yeah.
similar across all the districts. Does that mean that the meals, the actual menus are the same, or just the parameters for the meals?
The
Can you say a bit about
parameters.
that? Okay, so the menus just have to be within a certain set of parameters, and then the meals are different at every school.
Yeah, and that's also the reason why it's so important that the school can have a say in which catering company is chosen, because they all cook a little bit different, as you know, I think. So there are schools who favor a special caterer, but in the process, um, when the caterers apply, the school doesn't know which caterer offers which, but they are shown a special menu which they caterer prepare for the competition, and then the schools can vote which of these menus are the best for their school, and so they have a say in which caterer is chosen for their schools. But that's also the problem, that it's blinded, that they can say, "Oh, we want to keep the old one."
They cannot smell the food before or something like that. And yeah, it's discussed actually by now, because the schools rather would like test the food before. We understand, but this has to do with the tendering, and so it doesn't work. Just one addition: we have the I looked this word participation package. Is it correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
You can read it just in German on our website because it's public. So there are all the criteria that for all caterers in Berlin. So you can see what is for all caterers, and how is the range. What can they do on their own. And addition to this, what Ernestina said. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe today you can translate it with a chat bot, and so I can wrote it in the chat our website. Okay.
Does anybody else have questions who's there listening? If not, I have another question.
Yeah. Go ahead, Heather. Yeah.
I'm just curious about the high schools, the secondary schools, where that you said there aren't programs right now serving the secondary schools, but is there in Canada? There's definitely hunger and food security concerns in secondary schools, and so I'm just curious if it's the same in Germany as well, and is there interest from parents and from the community to also have the meals served in secondary schools alongside elementary?
There's an offer of school meals in secondary schools, but then the parents have to pay the full price. So it's higher than it's around the 5 euro 16 to 6 euro 50, I suppose. I heard in secondary school for one lunch there, and that's quite high. But you can in secondary school, then other than primary school, apply for the package.
The
Manuela
subsidy?
just mentioned the
The
subsidy.
subsidy.
So then when you apply for this subsidy package, then you doesn't pay at all. That's that's a good possibility for the families. And in Berlin, it's used. It's getting in secondary schools, but still there are also families which are not have not the possibility to apply, which have just a little bit the income is just a little bit higher than the line, so they are struggling. So it's a discussion what to do with these families, because they are then put
Yeah.
Not
they
eligible.
haven't
Yeah.
had
Thank
the
you.
possibilities to
It's
send their
very
children.
difficult, difficult to get this money. And actually, tomorrow we have a webinar about this. But it's in German for parents and schools. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really pity. Secondary schools in Berlin, they don't have all these specialties I told you at the beginning. The quality unit also doesn't control in secondary schools. We don't have the DGE standards there. And just a few students who goes to lunchtime. Maybe it's a little bit about the age, but the older students don't like to go to lunch anymore. Maybe they are too cool or something like that. But it's not the only reason they don't go. In some schools, there is no offering, and yeah. So a lot of reasons. But it's German-wide, this difference between the primary school and the secondary school about attendance.
Yeah, about the attendance and about subsidies, because
Yes, of course.
most of the times the cities or the states just focus on the well for not on the
Youngest.
secondary schools, but on the youngest kids.
Yeah.
Like in Hamburg, you have free lunches in daycare centers as well. So it's more in the focus the younger kids than the older kids. But as you said, the problem isn't solved when the kid is getting older. The families are still struggling with the money when they are poor or at the risk of poverty.
Yes, and they are about 11 or 12 years old, so it's still young, I think. And so we work on this and talk to the politics, and we'll see. Yeah, can Melvin? I'm not sure if we get it. Yeah.
Can I ask, in Berlin, do the preschools and kindergartens also get a meal?
No, in Berlin, there's no free meal for kindergartens and or daycare centers. It's only so
Only primary. Is the
primary school.
education free, or like do the parents have to pay to
Mm.
send their kids to kindergarten or preschool? Or is
No,
it
it's free.
paid for? It's free, but no food.
The first 3 years, I guess, just yeah. But
3 to
some
6.
kids, yeah.
It's
First 3 years.
no, the
Mhm.
3
First
years
3.
are free, not the
Yeah.
first. It's the kindergarten is free.
Yeah.
The 3 years in
Oh,
kindergarten
kindergarten
when
is
the
free.
kids
I
are
see.
from
It's
3 to 6 years.
I'm
But
sorry,
when you have the real small kids from 1 to 3, it's most of the times you have to pay for
Yeah.
the daycare.
But kindergarten to grade 6 then is free. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions?
There's another
Brandon.
question.
Yeah, Brandon.
Hi, yeah, I got just a quick question. I apologize if I missed it already. For the elementary schools, are there any times where like adults, whether that's staff members or parents, are able to access the food as well, whether through paying themselves or some other route?
That's a question I can't really answer. I think that they have the possibility to eat with the kids, but most of the time the teachers or the pedagogical staff don't eat with the kids. And it's most of the times the students eat, but the people around them doesn't eat.
I think it's just the committee, and the committee includes parents and teachers. They have the right to try the food, but not every parents. Yeah, so just the committee, and they can tell everybody how it. Yeah.
And then that would
They-
lead to, do the kids get to take home food sometimes, or is there food on weekends or holidays for kids that are food insecure families?
There's no possibility to
Yeah.
take it home. But there's, for example, in the summertime, there's summer programs in the schools, and there's also food offered. So you can have your kid in the summer programs, or even in the other holiday times. You have a program in the schools and an offer in most of the schools, not in all.
That's great. I just have one more question. Does anyone else have a question? Before we wrap this up, we're almost out of time. I was just going to ask about school gardens and field trips. Do some schools have gardens, and are they part of, science class or
Yeah.
whatever? Do they go to the caterers on a
Yeah.
field trip or farms or anything?
So my answer is, again, some schools do have
some
school
schools do.
gardens.
Do most or
Some
few?
No, I don't. I don't have. Can say how many, but I think it's a minority which have a school garden. Yeah, and excursions, or do you say? Yes, of course, there are excursions. We also have a project with excursions.
Oh yeah, great.
Schools can do this to not the catering, but to the producers in our region, Berlin, and it's the state around Berlin, Brandenburg. We visit there some food producers, and or bakeries or something like that. But I think there should be more about that. So learning how the work of the people, you can learn how Beruf, what's the name of Beruf? How the
Yeah,
people work,
the work profession.
the profession of, yes, you can learn this also. Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Well, that's wonderful.
Can I ask one more question before
Yeah, of
we land up?
course. Wrap
Um,
it up.
Yeah, it relates to the procurement question about, so in the guidelines, it stated that you have organic purchasing. And so two questions related to that. One is that high level of organic food purchasing, is that the norm across sort of the whole population? And so that's why it's in the schools, or is it more focusing on that in the schools so that it can really make it super high quality in the schools, which it may or may not be in the rest of the meal choices across the country? So that's
Yeah.
one question. And the other is, you mentioned that the tenders make it more amenable for small companies to participate, and that most of the companies are serving only 5 schools. And this is a question in Canada that we have as well, how to navigate that process so that the contracts don't all go to the biggest companies. So those are two different questions about procurement, if you could.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Maybe the first questions, it's the second way, like you describe it. It's more that a lot of in the schools there's a high quantity of organic food, but the people in average don't eat that amount of organic food. It's more to get it more to the people and to have a focus which is in line with the focus on food, plant-based food at all in the school meals. And the
And the
second
distribution of the caterers, I think
Yeah.
this is a challenge in Berlin as well. So we had the last awarding.
Yeah.
There, one caterer gets a lot of school, and he doesn't have enough capacity. So we got big troubles at school beginning. So we are learning in this thing also. So this challenge, how can you handle it during the tendering and awarding? It's not easy like that, especially if we have these 12 Bezirke. Oh God. Districts. Thank you.
It's getting late in Germany, so
Yeah.
please excuse us. But I would like to add something. Yes, told you there are fixed prices in every tender round. So the fixed prices is based on a report which is written, and in the report the focus is on all the different kind of structures, on the small caterers, on the bigger caterers, and on the food systems, how they procure the food. And so it's an average price which is found, so that the small catering companies and the big catering companies can offer the food for that price. And there's also a different price which we didn't say for the catering companies who work the on-site kitchens, because most of the times the on-site kitchens are worked by really small companies, just one kitchen and one school, and they need to have been paid in higher price. So that's also all kept in focus when the fixed price is defined. And that's a report to write every for more or less every 4 years.
Mm.
A small study, which I did actually till 2011, the last years.
Right. One thing nobody asked was how many districts are there in Berlin?
12
Well,
in Berlin.
that's great. Okay, well, I think we're just a little bit over time, but it was just wonderful having you and hearing all about it. It was very informative and a really large scale program that you're doing just great with. And of course, you know, everybody has a long way to go. We have a long way to go because we're not anywhere close to where you are yet. So we're way behind, but we're working on it. But it's very informative and helpful for everyone in Canada, you know, that's trying to get more food into schools. So thank you very much again, and have a good evening. And we'll be in touch.